In this video, I want to demonstrate how I would go about using silicone to produce the elements of a partial thickness burn. There are three elements. There's red source skin, a degree of the upper layer of the skin sloughing off, and blistering. First of all, I'm going to mix up my reddish skin tone for the area of source skin. So I'll just measure out some Platsil 10 Part A, and this is just going to form a very thin layer across an area of my arm. I'm just going to colour it with some flesh tone. A little scratch of red. And to that, I'm just going to add some red flocking. To produce a nice sore looking red flesh. Now I'm just going to add the same amount of Platsil Part B to the palette. And now we're ready to mix and apply. Now I've prepped my arm by shaving it. I'm just going to wipe it down with some surgical spirit. And now I'm ready to mix and apply the silicone. Okay, and now I'm just going to apply create a nice area of reddened skin. Of course, you could create multiple areas and surround those with sloughed skin, but I'm going to focus on just doing one patch. I'm going to need it to dry completely before I start to apply silicone over it. And I'm not going to be using a sponge or anything or trying to take away any of that shine. Could have actually done being quite a bit redder. So I think I'm going to mix up another little batch, more red, and mix it into what's already there. So I'm just going to mix up a quick little batch of very red silicone to go over the silicone that I've already placed down. Again, I'm just going to add some red flocking. Now I'll just add some Platsil Part B to the palette. And now I'm just going to mix these up and apply it to the existing wound. Maybe even expand it a little since I've now got more material. First, I'm just going to try and spread this over the existing silicone, just to see how it goes down. I was a little worried that in the time it's taken me to mix, the silicone that was already down might become tacky. It has a little bit, but it's still workable. I'm looking for quite an uneven distribution. expanded the wound that much. I'm just right at the edges, trying to create a blended outline when it comes to putting the clear silicone for the sloughed skin on. I want there to be a defined area where I know that I want the clear silicone to adhere to my skin or adhere to the silicone, and then an area that I know that I've put Vaseline on, because that's what I'm going to use to prevent the two silicones from joining each other. So there it is, nicely laid out, nicely blended in, and that would make a very good superficial burn. Now I'm not going to make an individual video for a superficial burn, because that is basically how you would do a superficial burn. I'm just going to wait for that to dry, clean my palette off, and then we'll continue. Before I mix up the translucent Platzil to make the sloughed skin, I'm going to cover the sore area, the area that I want to lay silicone on but I don't want it to adhere to, with petroleum jelly. I'm using petroleum jelly as it's cheap, that shouldn't move when my tool flows over it with the silicone. And be quite liberal with it. But again, it doesn't need to be perfect. If the silicone sticks, it will be translucent, and it will also create quite a nice effect of having an uneven burn. Now, just before I mix up the Platzil, I've put some black silicone pigment on my point. This is so once I've mixed the Platzil together, I'll create a little well of grey silicone in one corner of the puddle. Seeing as some of the skin in a burn will be sooted, having a little bit of translucent grey that I can pick from as I'm applying will add some depth to an otherwise translucent layer. Now I'm just going to add that little bit of black in the corner there. I've still got black on my point. I'll just grab a little bit, draw it into the mix. I'll pick this up and I'll create a nice steady stroke around the wound. Draw a little bit more of the black in. Now go along the top. And that's completed the circuit. Add a little bit more black to what's left. Go back around. I'm just blending out from where that petroleum jelly line is out into my skin. And I'll leave it to dry for a bit and then we'll start picking at it. As it's drying, I'm just nipping my tool underneath and tugging it up. This is a very thin layer of silicone, so it can be a little bit hit and miss. You might find that you start picking the silicone up on your tool, in which case you want to stop. Also, as it's drying, just want to take that shine off. You might have to use powder to remove the shine. And I'm just working silicone back off of the petroleum jelly surface. Just going to try and create a tear there. There we go. Fold this bit under. Right, I'm just going to go around with my tool and try and take some of that shine out. Just dragging a clean tool, no surgical spirit, over the surface. Or kind of prodding and dragging. Just be careful that you're not actually picking silicone back up. So there we have a partial thickness burn. And then the last element of partial thickness burn is blistering. And blisters are very easy to do. You can either use Skin Sculpt on its own or a Skin Sculpt Platsil mix. So I'll just make a couple of small blisters. So I just want 2 pea-sized pieces of Skin Sculpt, parts A, B and C. Skin Sculpt is perfect for blisters as it holds its shape very well. So I'll just mix the 3 together. And I'm going to do a medium-sized blister up here. So I'll just plop it down. And I'll do a medium one there, slightly longer. A couple of small ones. And then just tack down the edges. The sponge just gives them a nice sort of skin texture, and as always, take some of the shine off. Now, because of where I've situated the blisters, it looks a little bit unnatural now, so I'm just going to quickly mix up a little bit more of the source skin and the flesh tone and go around the blisters just so it kind of highlights them, makes them look that you've got superficial burning around the edge of this wound. Now I'm going to do this slightly different. I'm going to have a puddle of Platsil A. I'll flock the whole puddle with red. And then half the puddle I'm going to do sort of a red flesh tone. And the other half I'm going to do like our top layer, a very red, slightly flesh tone. And then when I mix, I'll try to keep the mixes separate. And that will give me 2 tones in one mix to play with. Lay down some flesh, and what I'm just trying to do here is add some logic to these blisters. So now it's going off. Do a combination of tall drags and going in with the sponge. And there we have the elements of a partial thickness burn: soreness, sloughing skin and blistering. And that's how I do it.